Hey pups, RB here, and today I'm reviewing the Pokemon First Movie Remake, Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, released on July 4th, 2019 for an Anime Expo, and later had a theatrical release on July 12th in Japan of the same year. Later streamed on Netflix worldwide, with the exception of South Korea, between January 21st, 2020 and February 27th, which we all know is Pokemon Day. I was going to review this movie and build a comparison to the original on Pokemon Day, but there was a change of plans, and I honestly didn't get a chance to rewatch it, so I decided to fall back on that and wait until I rewatched both the original and the remake to compare which one did better. Speaking of which, if you wanna, share your thoughts and opinions on both the OG and remake, and tell me which one you like the most. That being said, let's do this! The first thing I want to touch on is the animation. While a lot of people hate CGI and 3D animation in anime, there are ways to actually make it good. Case in point, Beastars. I am going to do a pup reviews on Beastars when I get the chance, I promise. While I'm not too fond of the animation style change, it looks pretty close to the OG animation for the original, i.e. the characters' eyes being further apart, and the faces looking a bit fuller, like in the 90s anime of Pokemon. And there's a lot more detail on some of the characters, such as Pikachu's fur being a bit more visible, similar to how Pikachu looked in Detective Pikachu, which is another favorite of my Pokemon movies. Again, not a huge fan of CGI or 3D animes, but if you can make it look good, like what they did for Beastars and Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, then you've already got me hooked. And it looks like they did their hardest to stick to the original animation as best they could, while keeping the 3D aspect of it. Plus, it looks similar to the games for the 3DS and Nintendo Switch. It's like you're actually in a game. That's pretty cool if you ask me. We already know the characters from the original, Ash, Misty, Brock, and the characters from the OG Pokemon movie. But there are a lot of voice actors that return to reprise their OG roles since the last time they voiced these characters. Dan Green returns as the voice of Mewtwo, which he hasn't done since Mewtwo Returns. He's also done a lot of voices for Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Throughout the years, and he's also voiced Knuckles from Sonic at one point or another in the games and in Sonic X. Bill Rogers, who was the voice of Brock and James in the past Pokemon anime episodes, reprises his role as Brock. James Carter, who also voices James and Meowth in both the remake and the anime, reprises his role as Fergus as well. Ted Lewis returns as Giovanni and Corey. Lisa Oritz reprises the roles of Nisha and the boat lady manager Miranda. And while I haven't heard Michelle Knotts voice Misty very much, she does play the part pretty well. She also voices Jessie, which she already does a good job at. The voice actors already do an absolutely amazing job at the voice work, and reprising various roles from classic characters like Brock and Mewtwo are a true bonus. I put all these in one because I'm me. While the story and plot are true to the original, Mewtwo is recreated in a lab, destroys it, suddenly becomes a tyrant of all things, finds the true meaning of life, which is 24 by the way, don't ask. That's what the universe said to me. You know the whole story by now. But some script changes they made apart from the original that I've noticed are a few things, such as the fight scene with the song Brother My Brother by Blessed Union of Souls was cut out entirely for a more updated epic fight scene. I prefer the OG one with the Brother My Brother song over this one though. A few lines are also cut from the movie, like the one with the scientist saying to radio Giovanni's helicopters when Mewtwo escapes the tank and was taken out, when Corey said, "If you are a Pokemon, that doesn't mean I can't capture you," changed to, "No matter the Pokemon, there shouldn't be any Pokemon that can't be caught." When Mewtwo takes down Fergus's Gyarados, his Child's Play line was changed to "That was trivial," but some lines were kept in, such as Team Rocket's hurting one's self speech, which is true concrete evidence that they kept a bunch of the OG lines from the script in. I don't mind some of the line changes, given the dubs and lip syncing was changed heavily due to the animation change from the lip flapping, but it's something I find unique to have two different scripts of the original and the remake. While they kinda cut out most of the songs from the movie soundtrack, they kept the original score from the first movie. I think there was also a score piece from the movie not released in Western versions at all from the score soundtrack, but I like it regardless. Plus, they also did a little remake of the theme for the movie, and I loved it! Though the uncredited song is something I can't really get by, but other than that, I do enjoy it regardless. Overall, my honest thoughts and opinions are that the remake is, well, not all that bad necessarily. Aside from a few minor changes of the scripts and scene tweaks as well, this isn't all that bad. Now, a few nitpicks I am going to point out are only 3 or 4 at least, but they're still my opinions on what the movie could have done or kept in the remake. MadMuchkin mentioned the first 2 points I'm about to make in her video, which I'll link in the description below if you want to check it out. But some of the most important lines cut out from the movie, such as, "We dreamed of creating the world's strongest Pokemon and we succeeded," and Meowth's speech. We have a lot in common: the same earth, the same air, the same sky. Maybe if we start looking at what's the same and what's different, well, who knows? I kind of understand why they took out the first line I mentioned so we could feel more sympathy for Mewtwo rather than the scientist, which I'll talk about later, but why cut out Meowth's speech or alter it? It was one of the most prevalent moments in that scene. A villain character saying a speech like that was extremely deep and meaningful from Meowth. Like, the hell is wrong with this remake for doing that? Now, I did say we're going to talk about the scientist thing later, and that's probably now. I'm not sure if this point counts as such, but take with that what you will. The full extension of Mewtwo and Amber's story. Long story short, there was a deleted scene from the movie that was in the UK release of the movie, I think, if I'm correct in saying so, for the English dub, where the scientist tries to bring back his dead daughter by cloning her, and the wife leaves him because of this, and he even clones the 3 starters, Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle, and they all die in front of a baby Mewtwo's eyes! What the fuck? That is traumatizing! I get why this was cut out from the original because of how dark and depressing it would have been in Western releases. I think it was only seen in Japanese versions and in the UK releases of the movie. I'm not entirely sure. But adding that in the remake would have given it more depth instead of just making the Pokemon version of Frankenstein for Arceus' sake. But that's just me. Now this one is my biggest nitpick of all because this was my favorite part of the movie: Pikachu's Vacation being cut out from the movie. Pikachu's Vacation was a mini-movie from the original as like a short film before the movie began. So why did they cut it out from the remake? I get that it was for time, but it was an adorable, fun little mini-movie. Why do it? Why cut it out for the remake entirely? Again, it makes sense for time and money and whatever, but it would have been a nice little addition to the remake to have a mini-movie remake. Regardless, the film actually kind of feels like that of Conquer Live and Reloaded, DBS, then DBS Broly, and many other remakes throughout the ages. While the movie is kind of a hit or miss at this point, I would recommend it if you're curious and want to check it out for yourself and determine your own thoughts and opinions on the remake in comparison to the original. Granted, I'm one of those weird ones who fall under this category. While I do prefer the original, the remake kind of feels like a breath of fresh air to me. Plus, it's the equivalent to Pokemon I Choose You mixed with Detective Pikachu. I Choose You is a retelling of the original anime, and Detective Pikachu is 3D animation mixed with live action. Yeah, weird combo, I know. But take out the live action portion and put 3D and retelling into the mix, and you've got me hooked. So, as a rating, I give it about 7.5 Great Balls out of 10. While not the most wonderful remake the franchise ever did in terms of movies, games, or not the most perfect one for that matter, it's better than nothing, and well, I still like it. Alrighty, that does it for another Pokemon video. Let me know what Pokemon videos you want to see in the future. Share your thoughts and opinions about the OG versus remake in the comments below, and please do keep everything respectful and tell whether you loved or hated the remake, and I'll see you in the next one, pups. Cue the outro, RP is out, peace!